Mr. Nordin, shall we start?
Yes.
Okay, great. So hi, everyone. I hope you all had a great day. I welcome you all to today's event from the series of youth coaching webinars, as we have a special guest with us who's going to share some tips on how we can make better life decisions. I am so excited. I hope you are excited too. So first, let me welcome our distinguished speaker. It's such an honor to have you with us, Mr. Nordin. Thank you for showing up today and for accepting GBF invitation.
You are most welcome, Ms. Najwa, and also the GBF audience is very welcome.
It's a great delight.
It's me who is going to thank you. Thank you for the invite, and thank you very much for having me today to talk about a great, let's say, topic, specifically decision-making or the art of making decisions in our lives.
First of all,
yes, you are most welcome, Ms. Najwa, and also the others. First of all, when we speak about decision-making or the art of decision-making, the first idea that comes to our mind is that the topic is related to business, is related to doing business in an organization, a company, or a firm. But I might say that people are very wrong, because all of us, we are managers, and managers of our lives. A manager of a life is the same as a manager of a company. You manage your own life towards reach, let's say, a goal, towards an objective, the same way a real manager or a business manager does in an organization. This is just a small, let's say, a clarification about why did we, let's say, choose to speak about decision-making in relation to what people need from this topic.
Exactly, Mr. Nordin. So before we start, I would like to introduce you to our audience. So Mr. Nordin Baziz is an English teacher. He's also a leadership developer with a BA degree in language and pedagogy and linguistics and a master's degree in global management best practices. He's also an ASP English trainer at the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Tourism and Handicraft, and Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries. He's also certified in conducting business meetings, and he's a founder and head manager of Freelance English Training. And finally, he's an ex-pedagogical director of a private school. So the topic about which Mr. Nordin is going to enlighten us is decision-making. In fact, I call it an art, and not everyone is an artist, but we can actually learn to make hard choices in life. We can train ourselves to not only make a decision, but rather make the right one. Life presents us with a lot of hard choices. What clothing to put on in the morning, what company to work for, should I pursue my higher education or just enter the job market immediately to spend money or to save them for a rainy day? These are all decisions that require thorough and careful thinking. So, Mr. Nordin, what can you tell us about the art of making decision? more specifically, why people find it difficult to make up their mind about certain choices in life.
Okay, Ms. Najwa, the most important thing when we speak about decision making is that people don't know what to do for let's say from the very beginning. Means, for example, Peter Drucker speaks about the idea that a lot of people focus on what is acceptable rather than what is right. Because good managers, they start from the very beginning by stating what is right rather than what is acceptable. And also, we need to itemize, let's say, the options or the alternatives. Whenever you are faced with a dilemma, a problem, or a situation, you need to understand it exactly. What does it need from you? The situation, what does it need? And later, when you analyze the situation, or you analyze what most business managers tell, the boundary, or let's say the boundary specifics, or the boundary criteria. What do we mean by the boundary criteria? Imagine, for example, Ms. Najwa, you want, for example, to pursue your studies, for example, abroad. What do you need to focus on here? You need to focus on your ability, for example, to go outside of Morocco. The fees are you, for example, are they available? Do you have enough money to pursue your studies outside of Morocco? And when you analyze all of this, you are going to move to step number 2. Step number 2 tells you that you need to evaluate the other alternatives or the other options. When you evaluate them on a degree of importance, means that you are going to select the best or the best choice. Ms. Najwa.
Exactly, Mr. Nordin. You're definitely right. I agree with you here. So we know that decisions are often associated with higher levels of anxiety. We tend to overthink a lot, and so our minds become in a constant turbulent state. So how can we calm our minds before taking an instant decision?
Okay, very good. This is a very good question. We, according to the review of literature on decision making, we need to pay attention to what we call decision traps. I'm going to explain what do we mean by decision traps. For a decision, let's say, if you want to make a very good decision, you need to, let's say, to evaluate, let's say the decision, is it fair? Are you not hurting yourself if you take that decision? And also, will I feel better or worse if I make that decision? Another thing is there are some biases. For example, the overconfidence bias is that people are, let's say, they are overestimating their ability to predict what will happen in the future. They don't take, for example, things seriously. They just overestimate that this thing is going to happen. Like, for example, a soccer game football fan who says that his team will win, for example, next week. This is unknown. You are speaking about an unknown future. And this is called the overconfidence bias. Also, another problem with which we can testify that people make mistakes when it comes to decision makings is that they refer to something with which let's say managers call anchoring. What is the anchor? When you anchor a decision means you rely on only heavily on one piece of information concerning the decision you are going to make. It's like, I'm going to give you an example here. It's like a person who is, for example, seeking a job, and that job, he focuses only on the salary and he ignores the other aspect of the job offer. This is what makes people fail to not succeed in making a good decision. Yes, Ms. Najwa?
Yes, I heard you. That was very to the point. Yeah, and
Yes.
according to you, what are the most crucial questions that we have to ask ourselves when we are to decide? Like, what are some of the most relevant questions? If I am faced with a decision and I need to make it, and I have a lot of things in my mind, so what are the questions that I should ask myself before making it?
Yes, that's also another very, very pertinent question, Ms. Najwa. The most important question we need to ask is that good managers are always clear about what they want to achieve and what they want to have in their hands at the very beginning. It's like a journey. It's like a trip. You go to bring something, but why do people fail? And speaking about failure, human beings are fallible. They can be wrong. And not all decisions are going to be successful. No, this is a very bad idea or a very wrong idea to say that all the decisions are going to be successful. Human beings can make mistakes, but this is the most, what I said before, that people do not have a clear idea what are they faced with, what is the situation they are dealing with. They don't understand it thoroughly, and this is maybe according to managers and also decision makers, they say that people don't get exactly a clear picture of what they want to achieve in their future.
Exactly. So we're not aware of the situation, as you said. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So do you think that we have to train ourselves every day in like small basic life decisions in order to reach a level at which we can like make appropriate decisions?
Training, yes. I agree. I totally agree with you that
Yeah.
we
And
need to train
how can we
ourselves.
do it?
How can we do it? Let me first, because you mentioned something of great importance when you said about, let's say, the kinds of decisions. Here, you remembered me of something which is very important. When we speak about decisions, there are programmed decisions. Programmed decisions, for example, they are called mundane decisions. They are called the decisions that occur frequently in such a way that an automated response is ready for them. For example, every day you decide about what to wear, you decide about what to eat, you decide about where you go. These are frequent, they occur frequently. And these decisions, they don't count in what we call pertinent decisions or strategic decisions. When we speak about strategic decisions, we speak about non-programmed decisions. And here, when we speak about non-programmed decisions, we divide them into three types. We have strategic. When you say that you have a strategic decision, means that you see the general course of your life and its objective on the right track. The second one is called tactical decisions. Tactical decisions means how are those objectives are going to meet. You need to ask this question for yourself, or you will ask it, let's say, in the very beginning. And also, after we state the tactical decisions, we go to operational decisions. What do you do on everyday basis to achieve those objectives? These are, let's say, the questions that we need to ask. If we are not satisfied with this, there is another type of decisions that we need to undergo. They are called the decisions which are unique. Means, what do we mean by unique? Sometimes all of a sudden something happens in your life, all of a sudden, and you say, what can I do? This is a unique decision, and it requires a conscious thinking. and an information gathering and careful consideration of alternatives. If you don't consider alternatives, you are going to lose. You are going, let's say, not only lose, but you are going to sacrifice the good alternatives.
Yes, perfect, Nordin. Like for me, when I have to decide about certain things in life, what I do is like I take a pen and paper first, and then I just jot down the ideas and all that. It's like I gather information about the situation that I am in, and I try to decide like I try first to take some time alone to consider everything and to like calm my mind, because sometimes it's just you can't think, you're blocked out and everything is bleak, you can't see anything. So I calm myself first, maybe I take a walk or something. So then when I come back to decide on what I want to decide on, then I try to like start with the most relevant things that I should do, and it goes like that. So
Yes,
first
yes.
you need to calm yourself, as you said. Yes.
So another thing before let you, Ms. Najwa, to move to another point is that there is what we call a rational decision making. What you did, you said you jot down the ideas of what you want to do or the decision you want to make. That's a very good idea. And here, when we speak about the rational decision making, what do we need to do first? We need to identify and classify the problem, because we don't speak about solutions here. We speak about problems. You are faced with a problem, you need to identify it, you need to classify it. After the classification of the problem, we need to establish decision criteria. What are the factors that are most important to you as a decision maker? You need to go, let's say, on this basis. When you decide about the criteria or the factors that are very important to you as a decision maker, you move to step number 3, which is to specify the boundary conditions, as I said before. What is the decision, for example, has to accomplish? What does it want, for example, to accomplish? What are the objectives it wants to give you as a person or as the person who decides? When you, let's say, specify the boundary conditions, you move to evaluate the alternatives. And when you evaluate them, you choose the best one. What you did, Najwa, before, you said I jot down ideas and I start discussing with myself, you are doing this, but you didn't know about it. When you choose the best alternative, you need to go to the implementation. You need to implement the decision. Unless the decision is degenerated into an action, it is not a decision. It is just a good intention. If you don't work on your decision, it is just a good intention. It's here in your brain. And after this, we need to evaluate that decision with a good feedback. From time to time, it needs to be readjusted, it needs to be modified, because nobody is perfect. We are human beings, and I said before that we are fallible. We can be wrong and we can be right. And a decision can result in being a win or a loss.
Action plan. We need to move to actions in order to
Yes.
implement what we have decided. Exactly. So what happens is that most people just like they stop at like the intentions, as you said. They don't move to the actions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Mr. Nordin, what's your advice for our youth? How can they fight the fear that blocks out their ability to think properly in critical situations? And thus, how to avoid making wrong decisions?
Yes, making a wrong decision, and as I said before, because we are not perfect. You can make a good decision and you can make a very bad decision. And practice can tell us a lot about this. Practice, as you said before, let's say, I said in one workshop at the GBF one day that repetition is the mother of skill. When you repeat something over and over again, it becomes a habit. It becomes something which is frequent. But decisions, we need to distinguish between, let's say, short-term decisions and long-term decisions. And here, as I said before, start with what is right. Don't say, this is acceptable, I'm going to do it. If you start with, say, this is acceptable, you are wasting your time. Start with what is right, and you need to be fair with the decision you are going to make in your life. You should not hurt yourself, you should, and also not hurt the other people around you. You should be fair, and it should be straightforward, to the point. What do you need exactly? Go to the point. Don't say, I want to be, let's say, to be your decision to be general and to be, for example, vague. No, this is not a good thing. Go directly to the point, and never anchor your decisions. You should ask people, for example, those people who are close to you, your friends, just ask them, okay? Have their opinions about the things that bother you, the things that concern you. Take their advice, even though you are not going to do this, to make that decision, for example, a matter of your life, just ask them. Just try to evaluate what they are saying. And later,
maybe to see things from their perspective.
Yes, and the perspective of the other, or the way the other sees, for example, my situation is totally different from mine. And it can give me, as you said, another perspective of the problem. So what is stopping me from asking those people? What is stopping me from asking those, for example, friends, those teachers who are, or who have, for example, the expertise and the experience? Nothing is stopping you. You just need to make a move and then go and ask them. After that, for the action, if you don't convert your decision into an effective action, you are wasting your time. You make a decision, afterward, there is what we call a work commitment. It should become your assignment. It should become your responsibility to do that decision, or to make whatever it takes to make that decision work, to make it successful. And carrying out a decision, as I said before, because I have to repeat this, it's a work commitment. You commit to your work, to the work that you should do.
Yes, and sometimes when you go, because you said you have to have their opinion, sometimes when you go and you ask for help, maybe asking for help is not as bad as you might think, because sometimes maybe those people that you're going to rush to reach to them, and you're going to ask them for help, maybe they're not going to make decisions for you, but maybe they're gonna help you, or they're gonna guide you through making the right decisions, because you know they are not yourself, they are like out of the problem or anything, so that they can see from different perspectives.
Yes, absolutely, you are very right. It means here, we never underestimate other people's opinions. We should not underestimate them. We should, for example, speak with them. We should ask, let's say, for their advice, and we should accept their advice the way it is, because it's not obligatory on them to tell us what they think. But me, as a decision maker, I have to ask them in a right way. Yeah, they are going to tell me what to do. They are going to tell, especially those people who love you, those people who care about you, they are going to tell you what to do. Your teachers, for example, your peers at work, your colleagues, for example, teachers like me, they're not going to lie to you. They're not going to tell you that you should not do this. No, try to do this. If you want to be successful, try to do this. You are doing a process called information gathering. And this is very important to you as a decision maker. You gather an information here and from here, and you create a consensus. Means you create the last decision or the final decision to make.
Yes, and also sometimes if you want, like for example, if you want to take an exam to make a decision, maybe your emotions will interfere. But if you ask, as you said, if you ask your teacher or your mother or someone else, maybe they will use the logic more than emotions. And here is the thing. Yes.
Yes, but here you mentioned something of great and extreme importance here, Ms. Najwa. You mentioned logic and emotion.
Yeah.
Here, it is a good decision maker must strike a balance between the emotion and logic. Here, logic means you must make your own mind. What is good for me at this situation? And what is important to me at this situation? And the emotions, how I feel towards that decision that I'm going to make. And this is a good thing. The fight always is between logic and emotion. I agree with you.
Exactly, Sanatin. There is a question from the audience that says, how can we succeed at making actual decisions instead of saying something like, I can't do it right now, I will do it then, or maybe later on, which means like procrastinating and making decisions.
Yes, we should not procrastinate. And I'm sure you remember, Ms. Najwa, the last workshop we talked about procrastinating.
Yeah.
And here I have to mention and also put in context, let's say what we talked before about procrastinating. You should never procrastinate. If you want to achieve something in your life, you should not procrastinate. You should count, as I said before, from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Start like a missile. And you should never look back. What happens to people, for example, and me also included, because I'm not, let's say, the best on. So people, let's say, look at their backs, okay? They say, for example, I did this last year, but it didn't work. No, you have to repeat it. You have to repeat what you are doing. And repetition is the mother of skill. When you repeat something, it becomes, let's say, as I said before, it becomes a nature. Never procrastinate. If I can tell, for example, this, let's say, a viewer, he should just never, or she should never procrastinate. Ms. Najwa.
Yeah, so the key here is repetition. And also we have to do it instantly without even thinking about it, because here we trick our mind, like maybe counting from 1 to 5 and then do it.
From 5, it's the other way around. From 5 to 1, you should count backward. Yes, exactly. Why? Because Mel Robbins, when she talked about, let's say, you can change your own life in 5 seconds, she thought about how many seconds does the missile need in order to launch? It needs only 5 seconds. If you start from the top and you go backward till you reach 0, you need to go. For example, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Here, you don't have, let's say, any other space where you go. If you start the other way around, if you start from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you still have 6, 7, 8. You are going to go far beyond. So the other one is the, let's say, the positive one. Yes, Ms. Najwa.
Yes, it's all about tricking yourself or tricking your mind, more specific.
Yes.
There is another question. Do we make decisions based on our personality or the environment we live in? Like, should we have to to make them out, I mean, to make decisions based on our personality or the environment?
Here, the environment is not, the question is not specific, because the environment is something which is general. What does it mean, for example, by the environment? The environment, I can speak about people. I can speak about the atmosphere. I can speak about the family, for example, atmosphere. I can speak about, because here the question is somehow very vast, and I can't limit what do we mean exactly by the environment, so that I can make my mind.
Yes, exactly. Maybe they mean like their surroundings or something. It's not clear. The question, yeah, the question is not clear.
As far as I'm concerned, and as far as the, let's say, the review of literature on decision making, they are always personal. The decision I want to make doesn't have anything with another person. My father, my mother, no. My brother, no. They are not all, family members are not included. Your decision, for example, let me clarify this, Ms. Najwa. Can I ask you just a question? Why, for example, did you choose to study the English language or to major in the English language, for example, at the university? Could you answer just my question?
Yes, of course. There are a number of reasons why I did opt for English studies. First, it's an important language. It's gaining importance in Morocco. And also, I love this language as I was learning it when I was a kid. So yeah, there were a lot of reasons that pushed me to choose English as a major in university.
Okay, good. I will ask another question here. What does your mother, for example, or father, like me, for example, because I am like you, I studied English and you studied English. My father didn't have any influence on my decision. The decision I made was personal, and I, let's say, I was, let's say, in charge of it. If it is, for example, good, I take the responsibility, or I assume the responsibility. If it is bad, and also I'm going to assume my responsibility. So decision making is personal. I will clarify it. For example, this decision making, is it personal or it has to do with the environment? Imagine real managers, for example, in organizations. They don't resort to their boss when they want to make a decision. They make a decision and they come to the boss and say, this is what I think is wrong. And you are going to give me your okay, or you are going to refuse. He made the decision. And also the boss will tell him, I hired you to make good decisions, to make decisions for the good of the company, not for the good of yourself or myself, for the good of this brand. Okay? This is just a simple example of this.
Yes, I side with you here, because also when I did make this choice or this decision that I want to carry on my studies in English in English studies, even my mother or my father, they didn't like influence me, or they didn't like tell me that you should do this or this. It was personal. Like there was no influence of any other aspect, be it like environment, be it my surroundings or anything else. So it's personal, and I should take all full responsibilities of my choice or my decision. And this is how the process of decisions should be like.
Okay,
it's
yes.
personal. It's 100% personal.
Yes, it's
maybe sometimes.
Yes.
Exactly. Maybe sometimes I would go and ask my father, do you think that this is good if I do this or this? But then you just listen to their ideas, to their opinion. But then at the end, you just choose yourself.
Yes, absolutely. You are so right. As I said before, it's absolutely personal. And for decision makers, or for the Global Vast Foundation audience who would like to make future decisions or actual or current decisions. They just need to focus on what is right. Imagine a good, for example, student who speaks good English in high school, and a teacher advises him, tells him you need to major in the English literature or to study the English language. And a father says, no, I want you to be a doctor. The boy would like to study English. So here, referring to what we said before, that the decision is personal, the boy here should not listen to his father. He should follow his dream as long as he would like to study the English language at the university. He should not listen to his father. He should not listen to anyone, not only his father, but he has a dream and he wants to achieve it, to achieve that dream, and he is ready to sacrifice his time and to sacrifice anything that he has to sacrifice in his life. Imagine here, when you focus about what is right, and the boy here focused about what is right, I will give you two proverbs and you will see, you will understand it. For example, decision makers said, when you don't have a clear image or a clear objective of what you want to do, they say half a baby is worse than no baby at all. But if you have a clear idea about what you are going to do, they say half a loaf is better than no bread. Half a loaf means you have a bread. It's bread. But do we have a half a baby? We don't have a half a baby. We have either a complete baby, not a half baby. Okay? These two proverbs can make maybe the picture clear for the GBOF audience.
Yes, it should. It should get clear. Also here, I want to refer back to what we said earlier, because I went through the comments of the audience, and I could notice that some people use their emotions when they make a decision. It's a bad thing. It's not a good idea at all, because when I think of all the decisions in life that I regretted, I discovered that I made them while I was counting, or I was like dependent on my emotions. I let my emotions or my feelings interfere in the process of making decisions, and ultimately I just regretted them. So my advice for you, for whomever is watching us today, never ever let your emotions interfere while you are to make a decision.
Yes.
Yeah,
And also something, yeah, I agree. I totally agree with you, because here you and I are talking about the same thing. But Ms. Najwa, for being a winner, because this is a battle, okay? This is a war. This is a war. So you need to be a winner at the end of the race. But in order to be a winner, you need, or close attention must be paid to the effectiveness of the decision. You need, let's say, to evaluate your decision as being effective. And in order to evaluate it as an effective decision, you need to test it and monitor it, control it, and report on it. Some people just make the decision and they never review the decision made. But you need to monitor, control, and report on it by writing what I did, what I failed to do. When you make such, let's say, for example, reviewing, be sure that your decision will be very effective at the end of the race. If it is not in the very beginning, it will be in the end.
Exactly, Mr. Nordin. You're definitely right. So there's this aspect of evaluation.
Yes.
We always need to evaluate whatever decision we take. There is another question.
Okay.
It's a long paragraph. Munya said that I think that when someone wants to make a decision, she or he should take into account the positive and the negative aspects of it. Like, is it a dream? Yeah, is it a dream that someone wants to achieve or fulfill? You make balance between heart as well as mind. Don't follow anyone's suggestion because no one can be you. Yes, Munya, I agree with you. What do you think, Mr. Nordin?
I think we discussed this, you and me, when we spoke beforehand.
Yes.
About how the others view your point of view. When you voice your mind in front of people, you tell them, I want to do this and this and this. Be sure that they have their ideas concerning what your aim, concerning your dream, concerning what you want to do. You just need to listen to it and you evaluate it. What you are hearing from the others are called alternatives, the other options. Why don't you listen to them? Listen and take what works for you, what works for your plan, what works for your dream. This is the most important thing to do when you are listening to people. It's not you are going to apply their ideas or their plans 100%. No, you are going to see whether it is effective, whether it's worth following, whether it's worth applying, and then you make up your own mind after. You listen to this person and this one, and then consider them other alternatives. Maybe they will give you ideas that you don't have beforehand, and you are going to decide exactly on which idea works for you and works for your plan.
Yes, because the thing is that you know yourself more than you. They are there to guide you, to help you, but they can make decisions for you, as we said earlier. So, Mr. Nordin, our last question. Do you think nowadays young people, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. So the last question from the audience says, do you think nowadays young people are free to make their own decisions?
Also, this is a very vague question. They are free in relation to what? They are free for in relation to what?
Because own decisions.
Yes, because here they are free means a lot of things. Means are different, for example, in relation to their relationship with their parents, their relationship with what you want to achieve, let's say, to do for themselves. Because here they are free, can tell you a lot of things, and it is not a specified question. But I will answer, let's say, from our point of view. They are free, I think they are free to do whatever they want. Nobody, let's say, has the right to tell you what to do. Nobody has the right to tell you what to do in your life. Your life is yours. You live it the way you wish, and nobody has to intervene or to say to you, how are you going to live that life? But you should ask people to make it perfect. Your life, you deserve, let's say, to live a good life. You deserve to live a healthy life. So try to learn from others. Before we spoke about, let's say, the model, we say, let's say, you follow a model, you follow a person, you track his history. What did he do throughout his life to achieve, let's say, that goal, which he is enjoying right now? Modeling is something which is very good, but nobody has to tell you or has the right to tell you what to do, because it's just your own life.
Yeah, but also here, but what is important is that they have to be responsible about their decisions. Maybe they are free, of course, they're free to do whatever they want, to decide, to make up their minds, but they have to be responsible. That's the thing.
Yes.
to take full responsibilities.
Yes, yes, I agree. I agree with you because when I said it's your own life, you are going to
Yeah.
live it for the better and for the worse. And here, it's the reality of life. You assume the responsibility. Sometimes those people who don't like to listen to others, they tell you, it's my own life and I want to live it the way I wish. What's wrong with you? I don't need your opinion. I don't need your idea. They say this to you. And means they are, let's say, fed up with life. That's why they say this. But for a person who would like to go for the better and to enjoy his life, to live it the way he wants or the way she wants, no, they don't say this. They say, I am responsible for my life, but the other person may have a very good idea, better than mine. Why don't I go and ask him?
Yes, Mr. Nordin, I agree with you. So here to conclude,
Yes.
Tarek from the audience said that sometimes previous experiences can make us good decision makers in his right. I definitely agree with him. So,
Yes, yes.
Mr. Nordin, we're glad to have you today. You inspired us. We learned a great deal from you. And I'm sure by now, whoever is watching us today will reflect upon themselves and they will start training themselves to be strategic decision makers. Thank you for your
Yes.
presence. Thank you for being with us. And would like to thank you on behalf of GBF staff.
Yes.
And also I would like to thank everyone who's watching us today.
Yes, it's me who
Thank
is
you.
going to thank you. And thank you for the invite. And for GBF is my home. And I am ready to present
Exactly.
whenever you need to, and also whenever I need to. And never forget that the essential function of a manager is to make a decision, to make decisions. Never say that a manager works in a company or a firm. You are the manager of your life, and your essential function is to make good decisions. And making good decisions, you need to select a logical choice from the available options that are in front of you to reach your own goal and objective. Thank you very much, Ms. Najwa, and thank you,
Exactly. Thank you,
GBF
Mr. Nordin.
audience. And special thanks to Mr.
You are
Hussein Sras. Also, he was always with
most
us
welcome.
before. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Welcome. Thank you, Mr. Nordin, again. Take care. See you again, inshallah, with us, hopefully.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the invite. You are most welcome.
Welcome, Mr. Nordin. Goodbye. Goodbye, everyone.
Okay, see you soon.